Hello everyone, and welcome into a brand new episode of SportsTalk Philadelphia. We got an action-packed episode filled with division wins, regular season wins, all that on today's episode of SportsTalk Philadelphia, coming right at you.
Probably try to Rockefeller hover. Down go to war like a soldier, yeah. Plus they tried to count me out thinking that it's over. But I got to fight, Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight like Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight, Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I got to fight like Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa with the fight, yeah, I got to fight, yeah, all of my might. Left foot, right foot.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of SportsTalk Philadelphia. No, Braden did not dye his hair. I'm hosting the show this week. Obviously, you know me, Chris Gress. I'm here with a few panelists today. Here we got Deja to my left. Deja, how we doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to be back for another episode.
Awesome. And we got a brand new member today making his debut. Jaden, how we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for the first time me doing this, so let's see how the show goes.
Awesome. We're glad to have you here. Our first segment of the day is, of course, going to be about our Philadelphia Eagles, who went on the road this weekend to face Kansas City. And, you know, it was an interesting game. They came out with a victory, but it was close. They won 20-17. Saquon Barkley had 88 yards and a touchdown. The usual from him, scoring, getting into the end zone. The defense was on fire. They only held the Chiefs to 294 total yards. Jalen Hurts also joins Joe Burrow and Jared Goff as the only other active quarterbacks with a winning record against Patrick Mahomes. So all in all, it could have been worse. You know, they came out, got the job done, got the victory. But I guess I'll start with you, Deja. What were your kind of thoughts as you were watching the game or as the game played out? Because it wasn't as dominant a victory as the Super Bowl was, but just kind of give me your thoughts overall to start.
Yeah, going into the game, I was a little nervous because I was wary of how we were going to play considering our first game. Definitely wasn't a blowout. Do I feel like if their other two wide receivers were in the game would be different? No, but the Eagles played well. Defense showed up as usual, and it was a good game to watch anytime you can beat Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, absolutely. And the defense definitely showed up. I mean, you got Jahad Campbell, had 7 tackles, coming out, making a play. Andrew Makuba, as you guys are seeing right now, had his first career interception. Awesome game from him. Great things from the rookie tandem that's out there on the defense right now. Jaden, what are your thoughts on Makuba, the defense, or just overall thoughts on the game as a whole as you were watching on Sunday?
When I was watching, I thought Makuba was amazing. The way he was just moving around the field all around. Like you said, Jahad Campbell was doing amazing. So this young defense all around was just all over Patrick Mahomes the best they could, and there was no complaints with that. So defensively, amazing game. Offensively, could have done better, but other than that last-minute Tyquan Thornton touchdown, defense was perfect in my books.
Absolutely. You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing. The defense was stout, obviously, dominant performance. But the offense, obviously you want to see a little bit more. You can't complain too much. You came out with a win, scored 20 points. But yeah, Jalen Hurts only had 100 passing yards. Typically from him you see a little bit more. But overall, he did enough to keep them in the game. I mean, there's that clip going around with him and Chris Jones. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. They won the game. He's absolutely right. He can say whatever he wants back to him. He went out there and backed it up. So, Deja, are you obviously, we've talked about this on the show in the past, but I mean, although the stats aren't there right now for Jalen, the wins are. And I think that's the most important stat, especially wins are definitely a quarterback stat. Would you agree?
Yeah, honestly, I would agree. Just basing it off of numbers, sometimes you can't look at that. You have to look at the player and how they are with the team. So Jalen Hurts definitely is the full package. But back to offense, like you mentioned, A.J. Brown was listed as a top 10 quarterback, and we're not really seeing much of that because when we do get a wide scope of the field, he's not even getting open. So, like, Jalen Hurts really is having to do everything himself. So, and I'm a huge Devontae Smith fan, and He had a good play in the game, but I still would like to see more from him and A.J. Brown.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Those guys definitely need to get going. It's been a huge, Saquon's been doing all right. The rushing game has been great, but yeah, I guess kicking it back to you, Jaden. What do you think the offense needs to do, or Kevin Patullo, the Eagles offensive coordinator, what do you think are the steps to take to get Devontae and A.J., or just the passing game as a whole, back to where it was a year ago?
I think he needs to open up the playbook a little bit more. So he's more of being a run-first team, and that's a great thing when you have the best running back in the league. But there's also the issue of your wide receivers not being open, or not getting utilized as much, which I believe A.J. Brown is a top 5, top 10 wide receiver in the league, and Devontae Smith is a top 15 wide receiver in the league. So you better utilize them while you still have them, and they're healthy, they're great to use. So I would like to see the offense coordinator open the playbook more and call more pass plays, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And even they tried a little bit more in this game. AJ had that one catch for a first down where he hauled it in with one hand. That was cool to see. But yeah, he had 5 catches in the game, and I believe 4 of them all came on that same drive. And I feel like it's been sort of like, yeah, they've been trying to force it to him. Like you said, they should open up the playbook a little bit, scheme it a little bit more towards where you want. Obviously, you're targeting AJ, you're targeting Devontae. It was also a down week last week in terms of you didn't have Dallas Goedert out there, which that was a big loss because he was a huge safety valve for Jalen Hurts in week 1. But on top of that, let's move on to who they're playing next week. They're going up against the Rams. The Rams are also 2-0. It is obviously an NFC matchup. Eagles played the Rams last year in the NFC in the playoffs, and we have the iconic, legendary run of Saquon Barkley in the snow. Yeah, obviously a big question in this game is the Eagles secondary versus the Rams wide receivers of Puka and Davante Adams. So Deja, what are your thoughts heading into week 3 against the Rams?
I'm pretty confident in this game. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I do have confidence that we'll win this game and we'll be able to utilize our wide receivers more this game, because I have been noticing that a lot of people are starting to catch on to Saquon Barkley, so we got to watch out for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely got to get, as we've been saying, definitely get the receivers more involved. Jaden, what are your thoughts heading into week 3?
Like you were saying, the wide receivers of the Rams, Davante Adams still at his age is still not washed, and Puka Nacua is one of the better younger wide receivers. So I'd like to see that how they match up. I've faith in Quinyon Mitchell, but Adoree Jackson, we got to see what he's up to. Didn't have the best week 1 or week 2, but we could see what like maybe a switch up in the defense or the secondary, or maybe Adoree Jackson shows up in week 3.
Absolutely, and I have very similar sentiments to you guys. I do think they're going to go in there. This game's also at home, which is huge, obviously in the NFL, but especially at the Link, you're getting one of the biggest home field advantages in the NFL. The Rams are a good team, definitely no slouch. Got to go in there and take things seriously. But I agree. I think they're going to go in there, also get a win. Jalen's going to go out, hopefully maybe do a little bit more by getting the receivers involved. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Adoree matches up against Puka, or hopefully not Puka, or Davante Adams, or whoever it may be, because he had a rough first 2 weeks. But I think the Eagles are going to go in there and get, I don't know if I want to say comfortably, but maybe a 1-score win over the Rams. But yeah, do you guys have anything else to add, or you're feeling the same way?
Yeah, I feel like Adoree Jackson just progressively keeps getting worse. I don't understand why we're not utilizing someone else, because I know we pull people up from off the practice squad. So I feel like the defensive coach needs to figure that out, because we can't keep putting up with that every game.
All right. And I guess final question I have regarding this game for both of you. Deja, who would you say on offense and defense is one of each X factor for the Eagles going into this game?
I'm going to go with, for defense, this is a hard question. Zadarius Smith for defense, I'll go with him. And then for offense, I got to go with Devontae Smith. I'm biased.
Jaden, who would you say X factors?
Defensively, that's a tough one, but I'd probably say, even though he's one of the best linebackers in the league, Zach Bond, right, being able to move around the whole defense and call up and be a captain to lead that team or lead that young core. That's a pivotal part that I believe that would be utilized against this veteran Rams team. And then offensively, oh man, if I don't even.
There's no wrong answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if AJ Brown shows up, then I feel like it's a comfortable win for us Eagles fans.
Absolutely, yeah. I guess for me, I'll say on defense, honestly, the way he's been playing, I'll say Jahad Campbell. He's been lights out so far for the Eagles. He's been everything you could have asked. 7 tackles last game, just showing a bunch of energy on defense. So defensively, I'll say Jahad. And offensively, like I was saying to you guys, I don't really think there's a wrong answer. I think you can say anyone. But honestly, I think since he's coming back, I'll say Dallas Goedert because he really was in week 1. Jalen really used him as a safety valve. I feel like he targeted him a lot. He had, I think, 6 or 7 catches in week 1. He was really a target monster for Jalen. So to have him back is going to be huge, and he will definitely be an X factor for the Eagles. But yeah, the Rams are a good team, but final thing, score prediction. For me, I'll say the Eagles go in there and win 34-27. What would you say, Deja?
That's very generous. I'm going to go with 28-14.
And Jaden, what about you, sir?
I mean, with the offensive struggles we just had, right, I'm going to lowball a little bit and say like a 24-17 or 24-20 is my final prediction right there.
Yeah, and I'm definitely being generous, but that is all the time we have for the Eagles. We are going to be recapping a win next week. Now, it is on to the Philadelphia Phillies, your NL East Division champion, Philadelphia Phillies for that matter. They went in, well, last night they won, but 2 nights ago is when they clinched the division against the Dodgers. It took extra innings. It even there was a blown save from Johan Duran, which is very rare. That's only his second that he's had for the Phillies up to this point. But they won the game. Robertson came in, they won that game in extra innings. Then last night, it was Christopher Sanchez versus Ohtani, and Shohei Ohtani went out there and he dealed for the Dodgers. But before we get into all that, let me get the panelists' thoughts first. Deja, what are your thoughts on Red October returning, and how do you feel about the Phillies so far?
I'm extremely excited for what the Phillies are doing right now. In the beginning, I think we all were a little weary of Red October, but we made it here, and honestly, with the way the team's been looking, I think we have a chance to pull through.
I didn't want to say it either, Deja, but it's definitely, the vibes are very good around the city right now. Jaden, how are you feeling about the Phillies going into the playoffs?
Well, I can tell you the fans are ready. Right after last week's episode, I went to the Phillies game actually, and the environment there, everyone was ready for Red October. As long as the last couple years, we've been ready for that, and we've shown up as fans. So I'm excited to see what the Phillies are going to do in the playoffs. Actually,
I'm 100% with you. And yeah, best home field advantage in baseball. They rarely ever lose when they're playing at Citizens Bank Park, but. Yeah, obviously I was already saying it at the top of the segment, but they went in, they clinched against the Dodgers in the first game of the series. Last night was another dramatic victory as in the 9th inning, Rafael Marchand, the backup catcher, comes up and hits a go-ahead 3-run home run, and the ball bounced off of the fence over the stadium. If that's not a sign of, what's to come for the Phillies or a good omen for the playoffs, I mean, I don't really know what is. They were getting no hit by Ohtani through the first 5 innings, and, modern baseball, the way it works, a guy gets to a certain pitch count, no matter what he's doing, he could be out there throwing a perfect game. Ohtani basically was. He only gave up 1 hit to the Phillies, so it was good to get after that bullpen because they didn't really get after Ohtani, but what do you make of that, Deja? The Phillies struggling with the starting pitching, at least especially with Ohtani, and really getting after LA's bullpen because this may be a playoff series in a couple weeks. So what do you make of that with the Dodgers bullpen struggling as much as it has been in this series?
Yeah, I was actually shocked to experience that because going into the Dodgers, I was nervous to see how the game was gonna go, and I definitely thought the numbers were gonna be a little bit lower. But the Phillies pulled through; they did a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to just piggyback off that, I mean, they really have just been getting to this Dodgers bullpen, and it's going to be like a real weakness for them in the playoffs, no matter who they face, because the big thing in baseball, especially in the playoffs, you need your starting pitching. You need at least 3 guys, and the Phillies, truthfully, they have that. Obviously, Christopher Sanchez went last night. Wasn't the greatest start for him, but Philly still won the game, so it's all that really matters. Game 1 of the series, you had Ranger go out there, and he gave you, a vintage Ranger start, gave it his all. But Jaden, I guess I want to kick to you. When it comes to the playoffs, and you're trying to sort out the Phillies pitching rotation, who would you say is, the X factor for the Phillies rotation, or a guy that you think is going to step up for the Phillies pitching staff?
I mean, the Phillies, those 3 players you just named right there, that's enough that you can go out and go win a playoff series with that core right there.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and obviously, I mean, Sanchez, Ranger, Luzardo. I mean, it's usually you'll have a righty split up the lefties, and especially with pitching, because in the lineup, the Phillies are always trying to get left, right, or right, left. However the handedness is. So it'll be interesting to see if because obviously Sanchez is your game 1 starter in the playoffs. Ideally, I mean, it's probably going to be Ranger game 2, and then I think Luzardo game 3, because those 3 have just been the guys. So I guess when it comes to when Aaron Nola and Walker Buehler, who signed, and he's a playoff riser. He's really been the guy for them in the playoffs. But enough of the playoff. Let's get to tonight, where they have one more game against the Dodgers, 10-10. Luzardo's making the start for them. It's Blake Snell for the Dodgers, who is a Cy Young winner in the past, playoff performer. So although they won the division, these games still matter. You're still playing for seeding. So I guess let me kick it back to the panel. Deja, how are we feeling about tonight? You think it's a sweep for the Phils, more of the same, or do they come back to earth and the Dodgers salvage this? What do you think happens?
I think the Dodgers could possibly salvage, just because Luzardo, sometimes he starts off rocky. So I think that's where the issue would be, because he's inconsistent sometimes. So we just have to see basically how he starts off the game, and based off of that, we could.
Oh, 100%. Especially on the road, he's way better when he pitches home. Very true. Jaden, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think the Phillies are able to sweep this, especially how hot they've been recently. Other than that one mix-up against the Royals, right? They've won basically all of their last 10 games. Yes. So they are hot right now, and they're going to the playoffs in the right direction going forward.
I'm with you, man. I agree with you. I do think it's also what Deja said. It depends how Luzardo starts. But take it back to one of Luzardo's previous starts against the Mets. He started out, it was a little rocky in the first inning. He gave up 4 runs, and then he had a no-hitter the rest of the way, and the Phillies came out and won. Obviously the offense bailed him out, but hopefully, I mean, if you get 8 innings of no-hit ball from Luzardo, that's going to win pretty much any game. So, I mean, obviously not expecting that from him tonight, but I'm expecting him to at least go, 6 or 7 innings, over whatever the strikeout line is for him, he's going to go over that, because he's a huge strikeout pitcher. But I really think the Phillies are going to get this sweep as well. It's a true statement series to go on the road against the Dodgers, a team who everybody before the season was saying, that's the team. They made all those signings in the offseason, biggest payroll in the sport. They really it's just a statement. It would be a statement win to go on the road, sweep the Dodgers with, 11 games to play for the playoffs, and it would just be a true statement victory for this team. And I guess to go off of that, with 11 games left, how important is it for the Phillies to get that 1 seed, Deja, or is it even a possibility, you think, at this point?
I think it's a possibility, but it's not something that we should stress about too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, as long as you're right. As long as they have the 1 and they're the current 2 seed, as long as you have a bye in the first round where you're able to get your pitching the way it is with those 3 lefties, as we mentioned. That's all that really matters. Jaden, you thinking the same, or do you think they really need that 1 seed?
Actually, I prefer the 2 seed over the 1 seed.
Okay,
That's just me personally. I believe that the 1 seed has a little bit of a you get too much time off and all that. I'm a believer that the 2 seed is a better matchup for the Phils.
100%. And either way, they're still going to get the bye. And now we are on to a new segment that we're implementing on the show, Philly First Take. It's going to be our take on ESPN's show First Take with, obviously, Stephen A. Smith. And our first question, to go off of our last segment of talking about the Phillies, is who do we think is the biggest concern for the Phillies? I'm going to start. My take, I think, is a little different than what you guys are going to have. I think, and this team currently is 2 games out of the playoffs. I think the toughest concern for the Phillies would be the San Francisco Giants. And here's my reasoning. They haven't won a series there since 2013. This year, they are 3-4 against the Giants. And on the road, they just do not win at Oracle Park. I know that's a bit of an obscure pick. It's not the conventional pick, but it's what I believe. And if they get matched up with the Giants, I will be very worried. Deja, who do you think is the toughest for the Phillies?
I would have to agree with you. And
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I would.
okay.
And I have other people say otherwise, but everything you said, I'd have to agree with. And also not having Alvarado during the postseason, I know might hurt us a little bit, but yeah, I have to go with them.
Yeah, Jaden, do you have a different opponent?
I actually do, which obviously the main attention is the Brewers because they're the 1 seed, right? But that's not my biggest concern, actually. I think it's the team we're facing right now. It's the Dodgers.
Okay.
The reason I say the Dodgers is because the Dodgers have this history that they could just flip the way they play like that, right? So, and plus I'm pretty sure they're the defending champs, right? They won the.
They did win the World Series.
Yeah, so they're defending champs. So they have a lot of they have history right here in the same position. So I think the biggest concern is the Dodgers, and since they have one of the best players, Shohei Ohtani, in the league, so it's I know it's a little bit against what I said earlier, but the Dodgers are always a team to go against, to worry about.
You know, you can't really, that's obviously not a bad take to say you don't want to play the defending champs, but the Phillies have Walker Buehler, who, not that it's a crazy thing, but he closed out the World Series for the Dodgers last year. Now to have that as a playoff riser. And the Dodgers are a tough team. There's no doubt about that. But this season, the Phillies are 4-1 against the Dodgers. The past, and I know this was a completely different era of team, but the past few times the Phillies played the Dodgers in the playoffs, they dominated them. And in 2008, they clinched the postseason to get to the World Series there. But enough of that. You're right. That's a different era, different time. As far as this Dodgers team is concerned, they're going to be challenging, but the Phillies play them super well. They only have 1 loss to them all year, and the Dodgers are good, but I just think it's what Deja said earlier. I think the Phillies are just, they could get by them. You think? I don't know. I think they can get by the Dodgers.
I don't know. It's just the Dodgers name, because I'm looking through the standings, right? Like the Brewers, the Cubs, right? I'm just like, I feel like the Phillies match up against everybody else perfectly fine. So it's just the Dodgers, like, even still, it's like they just have that. It's Shohei. I'm gonna be honest. I'm terrified of Shohei Ohtani. I'm gonna be honest.
The best player. All right.
I'm gonna be honest.
Nothing wrong with that. I respectfully disagree. But our next question is back to the Eagles, and I think it's an interesting one. If the Eagles go back-to-back this season, and the way they've just been, obviously it would only be their 2nd Super Bowl in a row, but the way they've been dominating, are the Eagles a dynasty if they go back-to-back this year? I want to start with you, Deja. What do you think?
We considered the Kansas City Chiefs to be a dynasty after going back-to-back. They wanted to do a 3-peat, but they didn't. We shut that down. So I feel like if the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl, you can consider them a dynasty. I would consider them a dynasty. Even if they don't win the Super Bowl, they're considered a dynasty, and they constantly prove everyone wrong.
Yeah. Okay. I can't really disagree with that. I want to get Jaden's take first before I give my reasoning here.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree, right?
Okay,
I think that the Chiefs are the dynasty going on right now, and I'm thinking of past dynasties like the Patriots, like teams who obviously the Eagles dominate, but then they're just like it gets to a point where other fans are like annoyed to see people there or like see you there. I don't think that the Eagles are there yet. Obviously, whenever they mention the Eagles, right, the only time they get upset is when they mention Eagles fans. So they'll get more annoyed the Eagles fans trying to call it a dynasty than the Eagles. I just think that we're in a Chiefs dynasty right now, even though they haven't won since January, even including the preseason, they still didn't win anything. I believe that it's we're still in the Chiefs dynasty. So.
I have a similar sentiment to you. I do, but for a different reason. I don't think, if the Eagles go back-to-back, just straight up, I don't think they're a dynasty yet. Because for dynasties, you mentioned the Patriots, you mentioned the Chiefs, those teams have 3. I think if you get 3 or more rings, that makes you a dynasty. What? We have 3 overall, but with this era of players. I'm just saying this era of players. But you're right, yeah, they have 3 overall. But with this era, I think if they win this year, and then if they win again, I just think the Eagles I think that you need at least 3 for a dynasty. That's my take on it. I don't know. They're definitely one of the better teams in the NFL right now. But you're right. We're living through the Chiefs. The Eagles just knocked them off, but they've been the cream of the crop for the past however many years. But that's a great starting point to this segment. But that is unfortunately all the time we have left today, everybody, on this episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. We all do. If you have time, please check out our Instagram and our soon-to-be Twitter page. We are going to be making one of those. Please check out our socials. We really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys on the next one. Have a great day.